guys, I'm Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a massive, and I mean massive, book unhaul. I have been going through the last several months at least. It's been at least 2 to 3, not sure really how long. It might have started at the beginning of the year. Anyways, it has been quite a bit. I have gone through a need to purge books because for one, I started running out of space. For another, I was holding on to books that I didn't really care for after a while, and I have gotten brutal, and I mean brutal, with what I decide of what books to keep, what books to leave in my house, and yeah, just what I want to keep and get rid of and why and stuff like that. So I have been going on a massive book unhaul. We're talking, like, if I didn't care about the book within, like, the first chapter, I was DNFing it. I was moving on. Some of them I reread. Some of them I didn't. Some of them I ended up DNFing. There's a whole thing going on. So, yeah, I've been collecting these books for several months now. I have this box, which is almost full, of books. Now I gotta put it somewhere, because I smashed myself in this corner like a dummy. And this box is full of books. So those are all the books I have. I'm getting rid of. I still have books I am going through. I had at least, I think it was like somewhere around 400 or some books. I have a shelf on Goodreads that lists all the books I own. So yeah, I have cut it down to like 300 and something. I'll put the number here, down here, or screenshot of what it looks like on Goodreads. Either way, yeah, I've cut it down a lot. So yeah. So anyways, so disclaimer here, if anyone loves these books that I'm getting rid of, no shame on you, go ahead and love them. I just ended up, these were either books I didn't like, I've outgrown to some degree, because a lot of these are like childhood books that I just don't like anymore. They just didn't vibe with me, or they're not bad books, they just didn't work for me in one way or another. So yeah. Or they're books that I liked, but I would not see myself rereading. And the books that I'm keeping have to have a rereadability quality for me, not for anybody else, just for me. So yeah, if I like a book, but I don't ever see myself picking it up again, I will get rid of it. There are other books in here. There's just a lot going on. So we're gonna go through the biggest box first, because most of that is one series. So yes, okay. Not sure how we're gonna do this, but we'll just go from this side first. First one I'm getting rid of is a comic. That is Hero of the Confederacy. This is a Star Wars comic. Purely, I'm getting rid of this. I don't care for the graphics much. It's very dark. It doesn't look like my other Star Wars comic that I really like, which is Crash Course. And it wasn't what I thought it was. So I only gave it like 3 stars or something. So it wasn't what I thought it was. So I'm just gonna pass it on. The next two, I'm going to be unhauling are Misty of Shincoteague and Stormy Misty's Falls. These are children's classics. Horse books. They're not my favorite, though. So I don't see myself ever rereading them. They're still very good books. I just don't ever see myself rereading them. And I can always get them from the library if I want to. So, yeah, I'm just going to unhaul them because I'm talking. I need the space. So, these are just going. Next one is Battle Cry Forever. This is it's like a standalone book written by the author who wrote the Thoroughbred series, but it's not part of the Thoroughbred series. This one I didn't reread. I used to like it, but I do know it has a very sad ending, and I, at least for this year, have determined that sad books are something I should avoid for the most part. So, yeah. Okay, the last ones. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to show this, so let me just pull them out. It's the entire Thoroughbred series of what I have. So, I do know in one of my videos, I think it was my April wrap-up, I did specify I was going to be keeping some of the books. I decided against that after a while, so yeah. I decided just, I have memories of this series of what it did for me and stuff like that, but to be perfectly honest, I will never pick these up again. I will never read them, so there's really no point in keeping them. So this is the first stack. They're not in order either, because some of them I was still reading at the time. Also, I just didn't have all of them. This is the second stack of books in in that series. Here's the third stack. I'm telling you, I had a lot of these books. And then 4 and 5 stack. So yeah, there's a lot of books. There's 72 books total in this series. I don't have the whole thing, which is fine because I would be getting rid of them anyways. But yeah, that's a lot of books right there. Maybe I should count them. You know what? I don't know. I might count them. I might not. That might be a little overkill. You know what? Actually, we're going to count them because this might be a very satisfying number. Okay. So, this is going to be a beast edit. So, I have my paper here, so I'm just going to count them and keep a tally. So, I can say at the end of the video how many books exactly I'm getting rid of. So, because I'd like to know. So, those are all back in their box. I counted them. I'll give a final tally at the end because we still have the second box to go through. So, I'm going to move that over here. And this one isn't full yet. I don't know how many more books I'm going to add. The first one I have is Adventures Calling. This is a Tangled series comic. After rereading it, I think it was in January, I decided I probably would never reread this one again because either the stories were just fine or the one that was kind of my favorite, so to speak, was also my least favorite because of how they portray the characters. That's very important to me, how they portray these favorite characters of mine. So yeah, I decided to just unhaul this one because I don't see myself rereading it again. Same with Before Ever After. This is the novelization of the pilot movie for the TV series. I have some issues with the series as a whole anyways, and I just don't see myself rereading this. If I'm going to view it, I would probably just watch the movie again. So yeah, I don't really need to keep this book because yeah, for that reason, though, I will say they did do an amazing job with the interior of it. Like, it's really pretty how they made it. Like, these are the chapter headings, and it has these drawings throughout, like down in the corners and stuff. So, it's really pretty how they designed the interior of this book, but it's not enough for me to keep it. So, yeah, it can go on to somebody who will enjoy it more. Then we have Shelter of Wings. I talked about this in one of my recent reads this year. I forget what it was. It might have been March. I'm not sure. Too many characters for me. I don't think this series is ever going to be continued, at least from what a friend of mine said about it. I don't think it's going to be continued, like, ever. You can't read it as a standalone. So, yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of it because I don't see myself ever rereading it, especially with the whole, it's not going to be finished, and I had issues with it to begin with, so yeah. Next series is by Brian Davis. This is the Echoes from the Edge series. It has since been republished. I think the author indie published it and changed a few things. This is like a sci-fi multiverse type series. I liked it, but I did have issues with the series as a whole, with certain things that were added in and stuff, certain things. There was at least one part that made me slightly uncomfortable that I've always remembered. So yeah, I do really like Brian Davis's works. This is still a very good series, especially if you like Christian sci-fi. But yeah, for me personally, I don't see myself ever reading it. So, Beyond the Reflections Edge is book 1. Eternity's Edge is book 2. Nightmare's Edge is book 3. So, yeah, I just don't ever see myself rereading these. I haven't yet. I only ever read them once, and yeah, I can always get the reprinted copies as like ebooks or something, if I ever want to try it again. But I do remember there were a couple things I had in this series that I just had some issues with. So yeah, I'm just going to unhaul those to a good home. Next one I have is The Forgetting by Sharon Cameron. I literally read one chapter of this book, was bored, didn't get a good vibe from the main character, and I DNF'd it. So yeah, I don't need to keep it. Nothing against the book. But yeah, I mean, none of these, there's nothing against the book. It's just my own tastes and what I will reread and probably not. So, next one is The Princess Adelina. This is like a really old Christian, it's not like fairy tale. I think it's a story from like Ireland or something. I'm not really sure. I did like this when I was younger. I just don't ever see myself rereading it. So yeah, and I'm not particularly, okay. Yeah, it's a story of the Irish missionaries' work in ancient Germany. So, yeah, it's been reprinted as The Princess Adelina. I think it had different titles, but yeah, I just don't really care though. So I'm gonna unhaul that one. Then also, I am gonna unhaul The Outsiders. I did like this book. I just don't see myself ever rereading it. So yeah, this is still a really good book. But yeah, I just don't ever see myself rereading it, and that, like I said before, that is very important to me, so I'm just going to pass it on to someone else who will enjoy it more and reread it more than I will. And then next one is The Evaporation of Sophie Snow by Mary Weber, and the sequel, Reclaiming Shiloh Snow. I like Mary Weber's writing. I still have one of her standalones in her other trilogy. This is sci-fi, has to deal with like aliens, has to deal with like the gaming world. For the most part, I did like it, but I don't see myself rereading it. The characters kind of had some morally questionable decisions too, which is pointed out as a bad thing. But it is kind of in there a lot, at least just mentions and allusions to what had happened with these characters and stuff like that. I do usually like Mary Weber's romance. There wasn't much romance in this duology. It does shed light on human trafficking and stuff though, and I think it did a really good job at that, and it's still a very well told story. I just don't see myself rereading it, so they're going. Okay, this series, actually we're gonna do this one first, then we'll do this series. Disney Princess comics. They're like little newspaper strip comics. They were okay. Didn't care. They're leaving. Okay, the last books in this box. Okay, this is interesting. The Unblemished Trilogy by Sarah Ella. Okay, these covers, first of all, gorgeous. These have the most gorgeous covers I've seen in books. However, the biggest issue I have with this series is the love triangle. There is a very, very blatant love triangle in here, which would have ended in the second book if not for the stupid actions of a character that led to the third book with multiple points of view that didn't need to be there, in my opinion. The main character didn't even do that much in her own book after this one, and I remember I didn't really care for the third book. Yeah. I only ever read it once. I only ever read the second book once. I read the first book like twice. I did really like this one. But, yeah, I just have mixed feelings about it, mainly because of the love triangle, mainly because of the way it ended. Like, it ended satisfactorily, but also it ended in a way where I was just like, why are we excusing this one character for his actions? Like, it felt like an excuse. There was also another point of view that was thrown in here that I felt was a very unnecessary, because it was like, why are we getting her story? Like, I don't care. The main character didn't really even do anything in the last book. So those are all issues of why I've never gone back to it. And whenever I think about rereading it, I always just have this flinch response of like, can we not? So I'm trying to listen to that. So yeah, the second book, I don't even really remember much about this, except the fact that the one guy tried to keep the main girl imprisoned. Yeah, that's really great dude. Like, great for your romantic options. And there was a pirate ship involved. And besides the way it ended, that threw me for a loop and made me really mad because of the one character's action, which we then excused in the third book, because why? I honestly couldn't tell you. Yeah, but beyond that, I did really like where it started, though. And the idea of it and stuff like that, because it's like a portal fantasy and stuff. Really beautiful covers. I still really enjoyed this one. I just didn't buy the third one, so I'm gonna go shut the window. Yeah, that is why I'm going to be getting rid of this trilogy, just because I don't ever see myself rereading again. I still really like her writing style. I really like Coral by her, and I am going to read her the Alice in Wonderland duology. I forgot the series title. Anyways, I do really want to read that one too. So, yeah, that is it. let's count these books and then I'll give you the full tally of how many I'm getting rid of. So I counted all the books, everything in these 2 boxes. I'm getting rid of 65 books. That's a lot. Yeah, I think I've calculated it from the, most of the books I've done this year. I'm getting rid of all the books that I've gotten rid of so far this year, and I think I've gotten rid of, and I'm going to get rid of like close to like 90 some books this year. It's something ridiculous like that. I'd have to recount them all with all the numbers I've saved and see for sure, but yeah, it's something like that. That is crazy. And I still haven't finished because I still have some books in there that I have on my reread shelf where I'm just kind of iffy about, and I want to reread them first to see if I want to keep them. So yeah, so not as many as I had here, of course, because these are the like first wave of them, but yeah. So yeah, I'm going to give these to probably a thrift store. I don't think my library is accepting donations right now with their whole building being rebuilt and stuff operation. So yeah, probably gonna give these to a thrift store. So yeah, beyond that, and keep purging my collection. But yeah, they are kind of these boxes are kind of taking space in the closet. So yeah, I might try to put a few more books in the first box because since the other one's completely full, that one's done. But yeah, just to make it a little more full so the books aren't bumping around, but hey, it doesn't really matter either way. So yeah, and that is it. That is the video. These are all the books I am unhauling. It's quite a few. I'm very happy with the progress I've made. Yeah, I definitely really like looking at my shelves now and being like, oh, I love all these books, as opposed to, not sure about certain ones of these and stuff. So yeah, definitely knowing for sure. Definitely still have a ton of work to do because I have a bunch more books I need to reread for multiple reasons, either just because I want to reread them and put reviews up with them and just want to reread them and revisit them, or for the for intents and purposes of being, do I want to keep these or not? Because I have books that I want to reread just for rereading sake and I know I'm keeping them, and I have others that I'm not sure about. So yeah, that is where I stand on all these books. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, enjoyed all my insane rambles. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!